we should now all be able to see. This is, let me take us to the top here. This is NASA Great Lakes. If you were to, most of you probably have been here before, but if you were looking for it, you would go to drivers group all the way down here to lead follow. Click on that and it takes us to our lead follow program. I'm going to move something around real quick. There we go.
Everybody see that okay? We need
Yeah,
to make
do we
that
get
larger. Are you okay on your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so this is what Mike was just working his way through. We have down here a familiarity exam, and this exam is really based off of the documents that are in here. Big chunk of these documents are the documents that you'll actually use during the weekend. So all these session review things here, those are the docs that we use in the weekend, and that's the bulk of this familiarity exam. We do have a couple of other docs here we're going to quickly talk about, and that's the drill description and the weekend drill order. So a bunch of folks have instructed with us before, and you know that we have a pretty tight alignment between classroom and track activity. So there's always sort of a classroom presentation, and then the track that follows that has a short drill that is directly tied to what we were just talking about in the classroom. So those drills are usually meant to be fairly short because we know that we need to reinforce what they are thinking about, just coming out of the classroom. But then you also have things that come up that you need to assist, an individual driver with. So we kind of strike a balance between supporting the classroom with a drill that's directly tied to it, and then understanding that you've got to work with the drivers that you have and help them as best you can. So I'm going to kind of take this in slightly reverse order. We're going to look at weekend drill order. We usually send this out just prior to the event so that you guys, when you get your student pairings, you have this is also attached to that. It's kind of a cheat sheet. It gives you a real quick rundown of the weekend. Saturday, each session, nothing going on at first session, but then we start our drills. Sunday, same thing, morning session, warm up, and then we start our drills. We'll come back to this, but this is the kind of document that you want to have downloaded on your phone, or you want to print this out and have it just available to you for super quick reference, in case you want to know what's going on. All of these drills are given complete write-ups in the drill description. Definitely a document you want to be reviewing. Michael, I don't know if you when I think you took it a little bit earlier, and we just updated this to version 4.0. There's a few small changes between the version you saw and this one. But the drill descriptions are given a pretty comprehensive account. So you know the duration, you know the anticipated pace. You got two pieces here. What the drivers are being told in the classroom about the drill. So that's the piece of information that they know and they're aware of. And then you have where you come in, your instructor duties. These are, I don't know why it's not letting me click that, but the second part of the description is really what are you supposed to do to help support this particular drill? We have a bunch of them, right? This is, I don't know why it says 3.9, it's supposed to say 4, but anyway, all of our drills are sort of laid out here. In fact, they're all laid out in pretty much the same order that you'll go through them over the course of the weekend. So that's all.
Most people learn these one or use these one at a time, or try to digest them all, or how would you recommend using that information, John?
I kind of think of it a little bit like what Michael just did. You're going to prepare for this familiarity exam, right? To prepare for it, you're going to need to read through the drill descriptions and have a decent understanding of basically what we're doing in each of these drills. That is kind of like a prep. It's like a deep prep. Get in there, get familiar with those particular drills. Print that out and bring it to you with the track, because invariably you're going to forget a whole bunch of stuff. So you might as well have that available to you to read in between sessions. You're looking at your watch, you're saying, I got 10, 15 minutes before the session. What's the drill we're working on? Bam, here's the weekend schedule. I know we're working on these. Let me read the drill description. And that way you show up to the grid early for your upload with your client, or in some cases you'll have 2 drivers to deal with and lead follow. All that's fresh in your mind, so you know what the drill is, you know what the description is, you know where their head's supposed to be at. We've got a lot of that reinforcement going on. So you're going to see, you know, the weekend drill order and the drill description all kind of like aligned, and those are also aligned with your session reviews. So if you're the kind of like cheat sheet sort of dude, then the session reviews give you a little piece of information about the drill. And if you're looking at that piece of information and you're just like, I don't know what this really means, you go to the drill description and you get like that full account, and then you're like, okay, right, I get it. I see where we're going with this particular drill and this piece of information. So the way I think of it is we're trying to give you lots of point of access. You know, reminder here, cheat sheet there, quick information that you can make use of, and then the more substantive, like rich stuff that's in the description. If you got to go back to that, it's always available there. If you didn't print it out or you didn't save it to your phone, as long as you got Wi-Fi, it's always here in the lead follow, so you can always access it at any time in the Great Lakes website. Okay, so let's take a look then at a session review. I like this particular one, early late Apex.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So this is kind of probably small on some of your screens. Let's see if we can increase this. So what you'll see, you'll get for this session, one sheet's 2-sided, right? On the first side of the sheet, let me pick up some tools
By
here.
the way, a session is, we're getting ready to go out in a session, right? And there are several of these sheets, except for the warm-ups in the end of the day, if I recall, on Sunday, if I remember right, John.
Yeah.
Several of these that correspond to what was just talked about in class. So this might look overwhelming, but once you get one, you'll get the rest of them. That's feedback from instructors.
Yeah. So I did gloss over that part real quick. You know that little cheat sheet that gives you the schedule of the drills? So that's your kind of like weekend schedule of drills. You'll notice because of the warm-up on Saturday and Sunday, that means there are 3 sessions, on-track sessions with drills on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. So there are 6 of these sheets, and each of them for the particular session. You'll find that information up here. If we kind of, I'm going to grab a little nugget here. Saturday session 3. This is the drill information for you. So that's your quick and dirty, like quick reminder, like what's the drill? Oh, right, early, late Apex. If you've done this a bunch of times, you're like, I know that drill and I'm ready to go. If you haven't done it a bunch of times, that's when you whip out your drill descriptions. You're like, okay, what the heck does this mean? Got it. And there's a full description there. If for whatever reason, I'm probably going to mention this a bunch of times, but if for whatever reason you don't get to look at the drill description, or you're looking at this and there are questions, you don't understand what you're looking at, both myself as the HPD1 group leader, as well as Bob Ellis, who's the other group leader, and half the time, Eric's there as well. We're at the grid. So, as you're arriving to the grid early to do your upload for your students, if you've got any questions on anything that you see on these documents, or you're just wondering, your student says something and you're like, wow, that's weird. I don't understand why he's saying that. Flag me over, just wave, get my attention. I'll shoot over. We're there for support. We're there to back you guys up. If, all the little reminders and stuff like that just don't get the job done. I'm going to change colors here because your students, as you meet them.
Oh, getting fancy with the color change.
I know. This is kind of cool. So, we have sort of, let's back up. I'm going to say we have our drill information, and then you'll notice that we have drill goals. So this is kind of color coded right now. Saturday 3, here's the drill. Here are the drill goals, right? That's what we're hoping that they get out of it.
And now John, this is information that is tied in and related to the classroom right now. This is what you've just talked about, correct?
Yeah. So what we've done in the classroom is we've been talking about, so this Saturday session 3 comes after the classroom session where we're talking about apex, right? What is a mid apex? What is an early apex? What's a late apex? And we're talking about the line and you know, in terms of like, you know, what is the driver looking for? Um, so they come, you know, out of the class having been shown this. We explain the drill that they're going to do. So they're supposed to, that's a huge carrot there, right? They are supposed to know what's going on, but their mind, if you guys kind of harken back to your first early days, you know that you're kind of on overload. So they may remember a ton of what we talked about in terms of the drill, and they may come out and not really know too much. But at least you know where they were just at. Over here is what we are asking them to think about, right? So these are the questions that we're telling them. We're saying, you know, look, as you go through this drill, we kind of want to have your mind on some stuff. We want you to be paying attention to some stuff. So the student reflection questions are things that appear on their documents. So if you're wondering, you know, why do they have their own session evaluation sheets? It's because we give them a different set of documents. And those documents are really to help their reflection, to help kind of, you know, fine tune their self-reflection on their driving. This is the stuff that they actually see on their documents. This is literally cut and pasted from their documents.
That blue square right there.
Yeah, that blue square. So if you're wondering, like, you know, what information were my students given, or what is it that my students should be thinking about, you have the information that's available on your document. You can see exactly what they should be up to. You can also use these as kind of like a piggyback, you know, of like things that you want to touch on during the upload. If you want to remind them that they should be thinking about these questions, remind them that, hey, man, when we get out there on track, you know, I want you to really be thinking about, you know, I'm going to go into like classroom mode real quick for you guys. This is almost verbatim, like what I tell our drivers. I tell them, look, in the NASA HBD system, we do not want to churn out a bunch of robots. We want you to be a thinking driver. We want you to go out there and not just say, I have to lay apex every single time because that's what, you know, baby Jesus told me to do. That is not the kind of mentality that we want out of you guys, out of our drivers. So when you go out there, we're going to do this drill. We're going to do this apex drill. We want you to be paying attention. You're going to take some of these apex early. You're going to take some of these apex late. Try to figure out which ones is a late, is an early apex just horrible. It's just like, it's misery. And which ones maybe, yeah, it's kind of tolerable, right? You know, go out there and start thinking like which ones work decent, which ones work better, which ones is like a late apex is rocking it. It's just, so we want you to be thinking about this when you go through this drill. They get into their car, this is on their sheet. You get out of your car on grid during the upload, you know that this is what where their head's at, right? What they should be thinking about, or what you should be helping them, where you should be helping get their head, because they're about to go out and do this drill, and you want to help them get the most out of the track time.
Some of the best practices that John and I have observed, which was really, really neat because we got some great instructors out here, are that blue box is the trigger for you to say, and this is my style, and everybody has a style, so use it how you like. So, Mike Baldridge, my awesome student, I understand that in class you have some student reflection questions. Do you happen to remember those? And if you don't, I know you got a cheat sheet. Would you kindly read them off to me? We are trying to reinforce those questions. In other words, this is the open book exam, and we're engaging them. A lot of guys will start talking about this with their student before the car rolls. We call that the upload.
Yeah, you're going to find that tailoring of these kinds of questions is that's what we're sort of looking for from you guys. Like if you, for example, Saturday session 3, so they've had 2 sessions on track already, right? Which means that you've had a lot of time to talk to them before the driving, after the driving, again, before the driving, after the driving, and now there you are, Saturday 3, it's before the driving. Some of these questions are going to, you know, make a lot of sense for where you and your driver happen to be at, right? You may have already built up a really strong rapport. You may need to be pulling them out of their shell. Maybe you've got one driver who's dominating the conversation, another driver who's really, really quiet, and you're sitting there in Saturday 3 going, I need to fix this, man, because we got the whole weekend still ahead of us, and I need to make an adjustment here. So think about how some of these questions can be kind of like tailored to the situation that you and your driver are in. You know, what they already, some of them maybe have been to the track before, right? They've been to a bunch of these, they've seen Mid-Ohio before, and you're like, okay, hey man, you've been here, cool. Can you tell me which ones, you know, which corners you got to have a late apex? I mean, what's the most important corner where you just know you need that late apex? Throw that out at them. That puts them in a good position to start processing the track and start problem solving before they get out on the track and they have to problem solve with their hands, right? We want that to be their headspace. So again, use these questions and tailor them for your own personalities, but also really, really for where your students are. If you get a student who's just like, what reflection questions? Because you will. That's when you're just like, oh, you remember, like you guys talked about this in class. Use me as a foil. You know, go ahead and lean on like, hey, you guys mentioned this. I know you guys mentioned this in class. And you know that because that's the way our system is set up, right? If you're looking at this early, late apex Saturday 3, you know that's what we just talked about. That's a guarantee. So you can use that to reinforce what you're trying to say and what you're trying to help them with, either in the upload or in the download. I'm gonna switch to, so now everybody goes drive, they come back, and you're like, okay, we are going to talk to our dudes, and now we get to the portion of, oh, I gotta move my mouse. We get to the portion of this which starts to really look like, hey, this is what we as the instructors are all about. Let me, sorry, I moved the alignment a little bit. I'm gonna change that, there. Core download. Download is after the driving, right here. So this is all about instructors. This stuff they don't see. They don't have this on their documents. This is only what you have on your documents. In fact, the entire second half of the first sheet here and the backside, the second sheet, it's all instructor only. They don't see that stuff. It's all your resources. So the core download questions here, this is what you think of as like this core download. This is after they've been driving, and this is your money channel, right? These are your money questions right here. All 6 of these documents, they're all going to have core download questions smack right there in the middle of the page 1. There's only going to be about 2 or 3 questions here. You're only going to have just a couple here, right? These are the ones that you want to get really, really good at asking. You want to pick 1 or 2 of these to say, you know what? These are the ones I know I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of. These are the ones that are really, really closely tied to the classroom. These are the ones that even my raw intro students should be beginning to talk about, right? Beginning to think about. So when you get to the download, you know, before you jump out of the car, we should have like a quick, like, you know, yeah, boom, boom, boom. If I haven't done this before, let me just really quickly read through these. Or get out of the car. This is even better. You get out of the car and you've got your sheet with you. And you're just like, how'd that go, guys? You have a good time? Cool. Let's start. Let's take a look at this session. And if you need to, just read this question right off the page. Just say, you know what? I got a question for you. It's quiz time, baby. And just use that tool. You can just very overtly and explicitly just say, I've got something for you. And you're holding that sheet, right? You're just kind of like waving it saying, man, it's right here. Let me take a look at this.
By the way,
yeah, go ahead.
John has told them in class that you have a series of questions and to make a thinking driver. They are expecting when they come off track to have to be engaged in a series of questions from you about this topic, which happens to be Apex. They're primed for this.
Yeah, it's from their perspective, it's totally natural. Like they see you pull out and start asking them questions and just, you know, get into sort of like evaluation mode. And that's what they're ready for because they've heard it already. And if you did it the very first session of the day, they already know that that's the rhythm, that's the pattern. And the rest of the week, it just kind of goes smooth. I think after a while, after you do this a couple of times, these questions become very personalized. Like you internalize these questions, and yeah, we just did the Apex drill, and I know I got to ask them, generally speaking, which kind of Apexes work for you, man? Which are the ones that you feel like you intuitively get? Can you kind of help me out and explain why? I'm going to ask that a certain way, and it's kind of what you're reading, because I'm a college professor, so I actually talk like this on a regular basis. I don't expect any of y'all to talk this way. I expect for you to ask that same question and to be pursuing the objectives of that question in your own unique way. But that we're looking at the first one, like generally speaking, what are you thinking about those apexes, which seem to really work? Which specific corners are really good on late? Which specific corners were really good on the early apex? Notice that's a track map question, right? That's where you're just like, hey, uh, Eric, can you pull out your track map?
By the way, that's given to them in the class,
Yes.
part of their packet.
Right. Again, so this is your support. This is what you can count on them having. They'll be like, oh yeah, I left it in my car. If they didn't, that's when you remind them. Say, hey, could you bring that next time? Because we're gonna take a look at that. I want to see what you're recalling from your track session. I want to see how well are you digesting this track. So bring that track map next time. Make sure you bring it. So from that point on, you probably won't have to worry about it, and you can just tell them, just stick it in the car, sit on the damn thing. Stick it in your glove box. It's the one thing we do allow them, to have inside their car. But make sure that you pull that out, and you're saying, let's point them out, man. Let's think about these early apexes. Let's look at the track and see, what are the features of the track that make that early apex work. If you have the track map in front of you, that conversation is a lot easier to have. That's the kind of conversation that if you have two drivers, you can start. You've got something external to be showing them and say, both of my drivers can be looking at this and can be thinking about what we're talking about. So this is why I think of this as like the money questions, right? These are the ones that over and over and over again, you'll be using a lot. There are other questions and a wide range of questions. So I'm gonna jump real quick to the backside of the session evaluation sheet. Kind of come back here. I'm gonna clear all this, clear all the drawings. So on the backside of this sheet, if you look, there we go. Instructor resources here. If you look at the bottom of the instructor resources, you see that again, we've got instructor choice questions. So this is just kind of like a grab bag of questions. These are questions that we collected from a whole bunch of other instructors who are thinking about how do they pull their, pull knowledge out of their drivers, pull insight out of their drivers, because they don't always know how to acquire it themselves. So the questions are really that stimulus that you can give. You can just drop that question in between a couple of your drivers, sit back and watch them start to ping off of each other, create that kind of bond between each other, and you help facilitate them to problem solve. You don't have to, pick every question on here. Some of these questions at certain times are going to make a lot more sense than others. But if you're wondering, like, man, what am I supposed to ask these guys? I asked the first couple of core download questions, and then we're just standing around, and I feel like they didn't get what I wanted them to get. Just say, okay, you know what? We're in the bonus round, baby. Turn that sheet over, and you're like, bonus question. Pick one of your instructor choice question, or pick one ahead of time. The point that we're making is kind of seen at the very top here. This is all about instructor resources, right? So the whole session evaluation sheet from your end is, what are the resources that I have to assist my drivers? I have a little bit of information about what they heard in the classroom. We went through this drill, and I know how to support that drill when we come off track, both during the upload, as well as when we come off track. You put all of those pieces together, and what you're doing is you're just peppering them with, here's information, here's a bunch of, challenge questions, here's an experience, here's some more evaluation questions. This is how we really improve their learning, is that we just keep coming at them repeatedly right along the same general theme, because all of this stuff is sort of like themed around the same stuff. I'm gonna kind of pop back up. We're gonna come back to the side 2 in a second, but I wanted to take a look at side 1 again here, where we've got down here. So we know what's at the top. We know drill information and where the student's head's at. We know that we have core download, so that's after our driving. In the middle here, we've got this is stuff that is not specific to the drill. This is stuff that is running, that is always in play. We are
Frank
always,
and Samir and Ken and Mike, you probably recognize this being the pillars in the, yep.
Yeah,
this is evaluation. Yep.
This is a carryover from, the way we've done things before, because of course they're always learning about their braking. They're always trying to improve their line. They're always trying to improve their throttle use, and they're always trying to get better and more efficient at passing. So this stuff, is a constant growth, right? Constant development that we're always picking away at. We occasionally will have, 2 drivers. So you've got, driver number 1, and you have over here driver number 2. This is really, again, this is for your eyes only. This is not something that you have to show the drivers. If you want to keep some notes on them, you want to keep some quick evaluations, like, how's their braking, so I'm just like, I don't know, this guy's pretty good here. He's got, my other driver, he's doing well, but he's not as good as the number 1 driver. My number 1 driver, his line is awesome. This dude's been here a while, and my other driver's kind of struggling with the line a little bit. Use it how, in ways that make sense for you. If these are the kinds of things that you need to keep track of, or you want to keep track of for them, here's a pretty powerful tool. Let them know you're keeping track of them. Let them know that, you're taking some notes and you want to know. So these sections are actually titled, if you take a quick look here, these sections are titled after their goals. Right? So we've got driver goals here. So this is something that for some of you, if you when you come in, you haven't been through the Friday training, and we're kind of like throwing you a little bit into the deep end. We're only going to give you 1 student on Saturday, but on Sunday, bunch of you may have 2 students. So you may be looking for a way, okay, I built up this nice rapport with my 1 driver, and now we have a new driver who's coming in. How do I get these guys gelling together? How do I get them matched up? This driver goal section here, this is gold. This is easy money here. You show up, you're there in the upload. You've got your 2 drivers. Get them out of their cars, and just say, I just want to make sure that that we got our cards on the table, man. I'm going to take a couple notes. Could you tell me what your goals are for this particular session? We're supposed to be doing the Apex. You've been driving this track for a while. You're one of my 1 drivers. What's your goal? Give you a goal, just 1 or 2, right? And then have the other driver share. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. So are those sheets coming back to you guys at the end of Saturday to then pair up the 2 similar drivers with the instructor for Sunday? Is this for passing on to HPD 1 to 2, our records? What's your guys' end goal for that?
So this is for your records. You raised an important point. I don't want to lose it. But first, this is really for your records. All of this is a tool for you guys to lean on, to give you resources, to give you information, so that you're able to address your students' needs in the spot, just before the session, just after the session. That's really what it's for.
I got a temperature question for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm looking for feedback from everyone. Can you see how this all relates to apexing in the classroom and how it all comes together? Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Would you like to know more about what you're looking for in the lead follow format? In other words, what you're looking for in the rearview mirror?
Yes.
Does this make sense? Can we move forward?
Yeah, Mike, I wanted to address one thing. Yeah, so we do have to match our drivers, right? This is for everybody, please. If you feel like you've got two drivers and one of them is a rock star and one of them is just like, wow, just wow, we need a lot of attention here. We need to know that. That is misery for you as a lead car instructor to deal with. It is super difficult, and we don't want you to have to deal with that. So Mike and everybody else, when you come off track, and this is for every session, either Bob or myself, or in some case Henderson, we will be at the track exit. And as you drive past us, we're going to be like, yeah, yeah, right, right. Okay, all of this, yeah, all that is just a cover because we're giving you a reminder that we need a very quick, hyper fast evaluation. We need you to tell us my driver is either a 1, a 2, or a 3 driver. Think of it as a podium, right? 1's the fast guy. I got a driver who's on top of it. Number 2 is medium, and a number 3 is this is a really slow dude. Okay, and that you're literally going to lean out the window and you're just going to be like this, my first driver, and then my second driver, or you're going to be like my first driver, and then you're going to be like my second driver, right? So you're going to give us that quick code, and we're keeping track of that so that if we see you go like this and then like that, we're like, uh-oh. Now everybody else came through the grid, and they're so we know who the other 3 drivers are. We're gonna go move those guys. We're gonna shuffle those drivers around. We tell them ahead of time, here's your instructor. That's awesome. Throughout the weekend, we may shuffle just so you get a different perspective on the track. It's a great learning opportunity. Notice we just gave you cover, right? You don't have to make an excuse for it. We're giving you the resources to kind of like just tell us, yeah, we need to know what you need in order to make your weekend and your driver's weekend a success. A 2 and a 3 driver, usually you can manage it. A 1 and a 2 driver, you can manage it. A 1 and a 3 driver, very difficult. That's a challenge, and we should know about it. We'll help you out. We'll figure something out. So yeah, that you'll see us, me going like this. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. All of that is just like, yeah, I'm like doing this. If you see me going like this a lot to you as you drive by, that's like me reminding you, please give me your evaluation. I need to know.
No one cheers on HBD one more than Bob and John.
It's part of the fun, but here and there, believe it or not, there's a purpose to some of that. We're not just a bunch of cheerleaders. We actually have work to accomplish. All right, let's get back to what Eric was talking about. So you guys are going to spend. Some of you have done lead follow before, so you've been there before and kind of the challenges that it produces. I'm going to tell you there's probably, from my perspective, there's 2 huge challenges if you've never done lead follow before. First one, the brakes. Feeling, most of us are experienced enough that we brake based on our feeling. We feel the need to slow the car, right, for the corner. You're going to be going at a pace where you don't feel that. And you never brake it to 400, right, in your car. But you've got to just put that foot on the brake pedal and just drag them, right? Because you got to light up those brake lights. That can be an enormous challenge for.
It is. Every one of you guys is going to fail it because everybody does.
God.
Like, how come they can't keep up? I'm like, dude, you're rolling in like a monster. Chill, bro.
Yeah.
Totally normal.
Yeah. Or like, Gingerman was one of our first events where we did lead follow, and I'm just watching all these instructors roll through turn 2, no brakes, no nothing. They're just driving right through there. And the poor drivers are like, am I supposed to do that? Right? Am I supposed to go through that corner with no brakes? And it's like, no, man, you're in a street car on street tires, and you're a new driver. You should be slowing this thing down.
Yeah, Eric, slow down.
Yeah, right. The second thing it's really hard because we try to drill it out of you. You're going to be driving your mirrors. You're going to be spending like the whole session. You have to drive a really clean line and watch your mirrors all the time. So this is pretty challenging. In the mirror, you're going to see your driver do stuff. And if you're wondering, what the heck am I supposed to be looking for? that's this stuff here. So you'll notice all of this is, observation, observation, observation. So we're giving you a heads up. We're saying these are the things that you should be looking for in the mirror. If you're wondering, are my drivers really hitting that tight apex? Is that what they're doing? What are we looking for? What are we trying to observe in the mirror? Occasionally, you've got a driver that you feel you're like, especially if it's one driver. This is a live option. If it's one driver, you're like, you know what? In the upload, it's 10 minutes before the session starts. You let them know, listen, we're going to do the drill. And then after the couple laps for the drill, when we go out, we're going to cross the start finish line and I'm going to give you a point by. And I want to just switch positions. I want to drive behind you. I want to make some observations. And then we're going to come across the start finish line and we're going to swap positions. And I'm going to make some more observations. But you need to be thinking about what is it that I should be looking for in the car's behavior and what my driver is doing in order to see, are they actually being proficient? Because what we're saying here is, look, this is proficiency. So we're gonna,
guys, this is a skill, and you're gonna find that if you've never done this before, it doesn't show up on the third lap of the first session Saturday morning.
Yeah.
But at the end of Sunday, you'll be like, wow, I got a pretty good idea of what I'm looking for.
So if we're looking here, in terms of like, what are the connections between first side of this sheet and second side, we're saying you've evaluated driver number one, you've evaluated driver number two. Are they proficient? Do they need reinforcement, or are they undeveloped? If they're proficient, there's your proficiency standards right there. If you're saying, yeah, I think they're a one driver, I think they're proficient, it means that you think, I really am observing these things here. I really am seeing in my rear view mirror, or when we switch position, I'm seeing these things out of my driver, right? Some of these things you'll notice that you're always on the lookout for, like rotation efficiency. When you've got two drivers and you need them to rotate, Mike, you took the quiz. Show everybody what's the instructor's hand signal for rotate your drivers. Yeah, it's a big old rodeo, right? You're just like, come on, right? Okay. So that rotation, you're going to work on your drivers to make that rotation really efficient. Because if it's really slow and sloppy and lazy, it's going to be hard for you to work with those two drivers. The smoother and the more efficient they make that rotation, the easier the rest of your day is going to go. So you're going to be making these observations. You're going to be looking for this kind of stuff all weekend long. And some of them are very, very specific to that particular session, right? Like we did a drill. It was an apex drill. I tried to get my guys to increase their pace. Or maybe we were just talking about that. Maybe we were just like, look, maybe it's a line. You're like, we're struggling with the line through, entering into Thunder Valley. Let's on purpose take the first couple laps a little slower there. All right. I want to slow us down there because we got to really nail that line. But we're going to pick up the pace. And that was something you and your drivers talked about in the upload. Well, what are you looking at to say, did the pace really increase? Did they stay close to me as I picked up? Where did they drop back? That's a really important question. That's for instructors to be thinking about. Where, if anywhere, did they drop back? Because if they drop back, like right on the exit, chances are you carry too much speed for them. They woe down.
Which is quite common. Usually
Yeah.
You'll see the speed up signal right here after track out, and the instructor thinks that the student has tracked out and isn't giving it gas, when in reality, the entry, the mid corner, and the exit speed of the instructor was so quick that just past exit, they're totally smoking their student. And they're going like this. And you're like, dude, it ain't the student's issue. It's you're rolling in too quickly.
Yeah.
Everybody will do that. Everybody will do that. And
Yeah.
if you got somebody that's on your six, you know that they're probably a pretty good driver and they're not timid. Like they're sticking right with you. Very easy to spot.
And sometimes if you're struggling with guys like that, it's helpful to give them another task that's related to it, like, you know, that proximity to your bumper. Just say, look, we're just going to work on proximity. Secret, we're actually going to work on your pace. But you tell them, we're just going to work on your proximity. I need you to be a little closer to me so you can see, you know, my signals, see what I'm pointing at out the window. So we're going to start out a little slower just so we can make sure we got that proximity. And then as we pick up pace, just really focus on that proximity. And then you can really judge, like, all right, what can my students do in terms of their pace rolling through that corner? There are other ways in which, you know, you can start to pick up on little ways that you can get them up to the pace that you think is genuinely suitable for them. But especially on that first couple of sessions, if you blow past there and on exit, as Eric pointed out, you're like, come on, guys. Yeah, it's just that you rushed them, right? They're not ready for it. And you got to backtrack a little bit and get their pace back up.
Each of these different drills, each of these different sessions is designed to expose a new teaching concept and shows different. Can we go? What's another good one to show them here? What's another session you're thinking here, John?
Let's get back. So we're going to go back to, let's see. We're going to, oh, you know what? Let's do perfect line.
That's a good one.
Vision is a good one. Yeah. Because vision, you know, we know that our pace is so tied to our vision. When students are struggling, when they feel like, oh my God, I'm going so fast, we know that's their eyes, right?
Can I drive for 1 second?
Yeah. Go for it.
Can you drop down just a little bit?
Yeah. You want like this?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Okay, guys, here's what I see and what I hope that you see as well. I know that Saturday 4, I know I'm getting ready to leave my paddock space 15 minutes before to meet my student early to do a upload. I know that our drill is going to do this. We put it right up front, right? I know that this is the super secret, right? They don't know that this is going to happen, but I do. It's the very first thing right on top, right? Making sense? Here are those loaded questions in the upload, and I kid you not, all I see is all instructors will have this white sheet of paper. Remember, this is the same one that the students know, right? And John's talked about in class. It's on their sheet of paper, right? A lot of them will say, hey, what are the 4 questions that you're going to be asked at the end of the session? And they shut up and the student answers. Is this making sense? Here's the core one, same spot, right? Here's first place, right? On the podium, not quite on the podium, missed the podium. Making sense? It's the same exact effort on this document. Making sense? John, you want to go down one more?
Yeah.
I'm going to give the ball back to him in 1 second. Here's the same wonderful, by the way, this is where I need your help, and John and our whole team. You will see John and I and Jeff Henderson and Robert Ellis quite a bit in the download process. We make the download, we put everybody together so it's easy for us to navigate and interact with all of you. And you'll see a ton of white papers. I know these are yellow. White papers in the student hand and white papers in the instructor's hands. And we will engage and ask to continually improve our system. So I wouldn't be surprised if each of you are saying, you know, it would be a great additional or a better instructor choice questions. We want to hear that from you. And that's what happens at the end of Sunday. These are your contributions and the other instructors' contributions, right? They're leading creative thought generators. This is the part right here that it's going to be the hardest. And if I were you, I would spend more time on this. This is, what am I doing in the car looking backwards? In other words, I got to train myself to go, did that guy pull over at the first red flag station? And did I remember it? You know, because it happened on the 3rd lap and we did 8 laps. Did they or do it not, right? All of these are the things that are in your head, in your CPU as you're looking in the back for this session, right? To give them a grade. This making sense? So it's not just about looking in the rear view and going, what do you see? It's looking for these components. Right?
It's I'm gonna
Go for it, John. What you got?
piggyback on a couple of things there. It's really easy to look in the rear view mirror and sort of go, they're still there. And that's it, right? It's very easy to just be like, I'm driving and they're following, and wow,
My guy's
day's
great.
done.
My guy's great.
Yeah,
Look,
right.
he's right there. My guy's great.
It's a different thing to be like, I'm looking, did you get it? Did you get it? And you're kind of, I mean, Mike kind of joked about us cheering him on, but really you're like, did you nail this? And if you didn't, by how much and where and what can then I talk about when I come into the download? I'm looking for stuff. I'm cheering them on. I'm rooting them on. I'm hoping to see these things, because all these observations, those are our proficient drivers, right? Those are the dudes who are like, you're getting ready to start thinking about testing out, right? Checking up to 2. So you're looking specifically for these things. And that's a really different thing than to just look in the mirror and kind of like say, yeah, they're still there.
I'm going to show you something here.
Wait, before you do it, I just
darn it.
Real quick. I'm sorry. Okay. If you're on that, cool. I just didn't want to lose this page. I want to.
Oh yeah. Just want to be right here.
Yeah, cool.
So we designed this, guys. So when you start cranking things up a little bit, turn up the volume. We designed this so that you get feedback, right? So one of the criteria is, are they still doing okay when the pace increases? We designed that. John talks about it in class, and that's what you're looking for. Is this making sense so far? And that's the same thing with spacing.
Okay.
Right? What happened?
John,
Wick. You got a question, Ken?
yeah, and maybe this is the wrong place to bring it up, but if we're doing red and black flags, how do I know that they're not if I pull over for the red flag or I come in for a black flag, should I just if they get black flag, should I blow by and let them come in and do a lap, or how do we handle that from a lead follow standpoint?
So let me quick say, there's kind of 2 answers there. There's a generic one, because you could get a red flag thrown anytime, right? I mean,
right.
Things happen, or a black flag anytime. You're going to be in your little group. So if a black flag gets thrown, it's thrown, and so you're going to lead your drivers in, right? So the corner workers are not really going to black flag one of your drivers specifically in a way that you're really going to tell the difference. You're just going to be like, yeah, my group got black flag, let me bring them in. And then when they get to the black flag station, that's when we'll talk about it, right? They'll have the conversation there. Same thing with a red flag. If you're driving, middle of Sunday or something like that, and there's a red flag, bring your guys down to that slow, safe stop, because your group saw the entire red flag and you're their leader. Now, for this the second answer is for this particular drill. For this particular drill, this is something that you're going to probably ask, because you won't directly observe this. During this drill, you are not on track for the first half of the drill. They're on track alone at a very slow pace. All of this is in the drill description, but I'll kind of give you the short version. They go out on track for the first half at a slow pace. Their objective is to go at a slow pace because they want to nail the perfect line. That's why we call it the perfect line drill.
Okay.
They want to just drive it and hit every single mark perfectly. So they're going out at 50, 60% pace. What they don't know is that very shortly, we're talking about the first 1 or 2 laps, they're going to get red flagged. And now they're on their own and they have to respond. Of course, it's a slow pace, so it's not like a dramatic situation. And we engineered it that way. We want them to experience, hopefully, their very first red flag at a very low pace where it's maximally safe. When they come in, they'll red flags followed by a black flag, all right. They'll get brought back into the hot pits where you will take 2 drivers. They may not be your drivers. You're just going to take the first 2 drivers that come along and go. And now they have to earn a passing privilege. They have to, this is where that line integrity comes into play. They have to chase you while maintaining as crisp and clean a line as possible. So the objective is not to keep up with you. We know they can't keep up with you, right? The objective is for you to pull them along and kind of challenge them and say, can you huff it, but keep a really clean line. If you feel like, man, he did pretty good. Yeah, I was trying kind of challenging him a little, and he kept that nice clean line. Give him a point by, let him enjoy the rest of the session as a kind of solo driver for the next 10 minutes, right?
Okay.
So when you guys come into into the grid, and you're usually, if it's the next day, it's actually this is end of the day on Saturday. So this is the kind of thing on Sunday morning you'd be like, all right, how'd you do on that flag, right? Did you catch that red flag? That's when you kind of like reiterated it. Plus it's also, they got the whole day Sunday, they want to remember, we need to take flags seriously. We've engineered the snot out of this exercise. It is designed to get them to have their attention over here on purpose. Drive the perfect line, red flag. I don't care what you are doing, bub. You have to notice those red flags. No matter what the situation is, that is your highest priority at all times. It overrides everything else. That's why we're intentionally putting them in a different frame of mind, right? We're intentionally giving them these challenges. So
take a look at all these vision things to see how John has aligned these, right? These are all notice as in vision, right? What is your priority vision? What were you looking at? All these other session sheets are like this. They all tie into the classroom topic, the classroom subject. Is this all making sense so far, how it's all related?
Yep.
I wanted to say something about those instructor choice questions. We do get a bunch of these from y'all, right? It's like you guys sharing with us. So the way I think of this is, if you got a question that you're like, man, that went well. Like, it was just something that's not on the sheet, it's not on any of this, but you asked it and you just thought, I got a lot of mileage out of that question, man. That question rocked. Please share that with us. Because we'd like to add it for everybody to benefit. If you just feel like something about that question just worked really well, good God, send that to us.
You guys heard about this? This was generated from one of our instructors. The old tape on the windshield right here. Yeah. This means yes. This means no.
Yeah.
Generated from there. There's another track map tie-in here. So the customer again will have a track map. All those tools are there. All of these are just a guide, and the pages up there as well are a guide to your success, to pull things together to the classroom. John, do you want to go to what would you like to do from here? We have a little bit more. You probably got a great idea of what the session sheets look like.
I got something that I wanted to share as a kind of a heads up and recommendation. I'm going to take us to the weekend drill order here. So this is our high level, this is our overview doc, right? So we can, we're going to spend all day Saturday and Sunday with these guys, and I'm going to point out a drill, a session, which is, I think, super important. Just like before, session 1, orientation, right? So we're just getting them comfortable with the track. Session 2, these drills here, point by, passing, hands drill, point by and passing especially, these drills are like, when you read them, you're kind of like, I think I'm gonna yawn, because these are minor, these are small drills. They are super important. This session is absolutely crucial. If you want to spend the whole weekend fighting god-awful trains, you blow off session 2. If you don't want to do that, if you want to, like, let's kill the trains right now, let's make sure that we do the best that we can, session 2 is where we're really working on how to coexist on the track with one another. That is the whole point of that session. That is where you are demonstrating to them, look, this is what a real point by looks like. It's like, bam, right? It's like immediately. This is what passing presentation looks like. During this session, we've got a speedster that is going to come up to your groups, and they're going to present for a pass. So they're going to model to your students what a quality presentation looks like. And you want to make sure that they're getting that point by real fast. If you're looking in your mirror and you'll see the speedster because he's hauling the mail, right? You'll see the speedster come up. And if you see him come up on your group and you're like, come on, guys, give him the point, give him the point. God, they're not giving him the point, give him the point. You know what you got to talk about during the download. You have to bring that up during the download because we need to clean this up for this session. This session is all about coexistence on the track with one another, and it will set the stage for the rest of the weekend. What we found in the early events of the year was it took our drivers a long time to get kind of up to speed. As we got better at this session, they got up to speed faster and faster. So that by the time they hit the third session, they're already, their pace, they're like, we can coexist with each other, and that alleviates their anxiety, and they just start driving at a good quality pace, and the rest of the weekend is so much better. If we drop the ball on session 2, it's not going to be until Sunday. We're literally going to have to wait until Sunday until we see a decent pace where we don't have trains everywhere. So session 2 is, even though those drills are, they don't look like they're much on paper, but I promise you, you got a lot to work on, a lot to talk with your drivers about. A lot of, this is where you got to be the big brother who's kind of insistent and say, look, when for example, Michael showed us, when I give the rodeo sign, that is a signal to the driver who's immediately behind me, get that arm out the window right now. Right now, as soon as you see me give that rodeo, you give the point by for your partner so your partner can step out of line and start that rotation. Because that rotation that we do, that we practice here, that rotation is the basis of them giving quality point buys. They can rotate with one another in their little groups. When the speedster comes up, they're like, there he is, boom. They give the point by, everything goes much, much better. So I just wanted to call out session 2 because we found that good work there just does wonders for the rest of the weekend. Okay, now open floor. What do you guys want to talk about? What do you want to look at?
Being from Great Lakes, got actually quite a lot of questions, or well, 5 key ones for Eric and John, and they may take some time, so I'll hold them to the end. I just want to let John and Eric know.
Cool.
So
Let me
guys.
let me jump in to show some things. You need to watch this. It's 70 minutes. It's gonna, if you haven't done it already, it's fantastic. All of these sessions right here, as John mentioned, reflect on things that you'll be using each time, right? This familiarity exam that Mike just took, he said it was took about 30 minutes, is an open book that's related to this and to these hand signals. It is designed for you to peruse and look through here, not test your memory. The idea is when you arrive at the track, you're like, I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. What you don't have, and what we're not allowing you, and we apologize, is this Friday that we did before, where you get to practice all of this stuff. So you're at a disadvantage of coming in going, yay. And I'll suggest to you the best way to do this is, quite honestly, to drive around and start driving around town and look in your rearview mirror and going, can I tell what? I kid you not, because it's a new freaking skill and it's different. And you're looking, it's what'd you call it, John? It's a microscope look, because you already know if they're using the whole track. I mean, it's easy, right? That's super easy to see. But how are they using it? And that's more of a microscope approach when you're looking in your rear view than a big wide angle. Because from a wide angle, my guy's great. These guys are awesome. So be thinking about that microscope.
Yeah, and another thing that that reminds me, another thing you can practice, on your regular drive, just tooling around town. Check your mirrors real quick and go, I'm going to show these guys my brake lights. I'm going to show them my brake. As you're coming up to a stoplight, I'm going to show them my brake lights. If you do that, kind of like, you know, you kind of reinforcing that just builds that awareness of, am I showing these guys my brake lights? Because I'm telling you, I was pretty surprised at how many instructors I saw just blasting through corners, and I'm like, you're in a Miata, you didn't have to slow at all. I get it, okay? You felt no urgency, but that poor bastard behind you, man, that guy, he's scared. He's scared to death right now because he thinks he's supposed to be, you know, he thinks he's the second coming of Dominic Toretto.
John's role and my role and Henderson's role and Robert Ellis's role on Saturday, not so much Sunday, but Saturday, is to give you guys some feedback, because you won't know. You're like, well, doesn't everybody drive this way? And I'm like, no. And then the other instructors will hear, oh, you weren't doing the brake light thing either? You were going too fast too? Yeah, I did it too. So we're there. We got your back. All the stuff will come through.
Hey, doing the lead follow, do you talk with the students at all about the distance to follow the instructors at? When
Yeah,
we did that, when we did, I've done lead follow before, and if they're too close, they can't see your line.
right.
They're too far back, you know, they just kind of get lost. So is that something y'all cover as well?
Yeah, so you're aware, this is like in the morning we have our breakout groups. When we take the one guys, we give them a physical orientation, and part of that is we pick a car, we find a car that's parked somewhere, we get them about 3 car widths back from that, and we say that's what a car looks like when it's 3 car widths back. We give them little devices like, you know, kind of squat down like you're driving your car, and you've got your hands at 3 and 9, and you turn the wheel, and there's your thumb. Now take a look at that car, right? See what that car looks like 3 car widths away relative to your thumb, something like that. We do have, of course, the hand signals out the window, you know, back off, as well as, you know, get closer. So we talk about the kinds of things that they're likely to fall prey to, like accordion, you know, getting up on someone, then going, oh my goodness, and backing off and getting up on them, and oh my goodness. So we cover a lot of that stuff. And in some cases they actually act them out, right? They try to actually like put themselves in that physical position so they know. We act out a rotation, so that they can kind of get the feel for it and the sense of how that's supposed to work. But we do spend quite a bit of time talking about that. Invariably, we go into the first classroom after they've driven, and we talk about their spacing again. Second classroom, we talk about their spacing again, because, you know, it needs to be reinforced. So don't be bashful about reinforcing it. Using other cars, you know, on grid, and say that car's about 3 car widths away from us. Take a look at him, you know. It's the kind of stuff for some of these guys, it's so new, and their brain is so chock full of all this other stuff that they've got on their mind. It needs constant reinforcement. We've gotten better at it. I think we can kind of tell by the distance. You know, we're watching them during the session and watching all the cars and looking at how they're doing.
And don't be surprised if you get somebody who's a rock star and they're doing everything right, and you can't find anything. I'm like, I suck. I can't find anything. Well, a guy could be really, really good, because it happens. We actually have a drill on Friday called the Rockstar Drill, and the instructors have to figure out what kind of instructor is driving behind them. So you guys are driving behind other instructors, and you're acting, and you're being consistent. And the download between the 3 instructors, the lead instructor and the 2 follow instructors, is who was I and what was I doing? Sorry, we couldn't do that and have that for Friday. Can't do MCM either. We're trying to get some time at MCM on Friday. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I don't think it is.
Eric, I wanted to, I mean, if you guys have questions, by all means, like shoot them out. But I did want to jump to a Google map of the track, so we can quickly. Yeah. So let me. Where's my guy here?
I've got one pulled up too.
Okay. Let's see. Can
oh, cool.
Everybody sees the track now? Right.
Got it.
Yep.
So here we are, and let's pull down here. So what we're doing, yeah, this is better. What we're going to do, we all know, how to get on the track and how to get off the track. When we get our guys off the track here, why is this guy here? Hang on, trying to get rid of this.
Hey, I don't know if anybody else is having this problem, but I got no track map in front of me.
Is that you, Frank? Frank doesn't have it. Samir, can you see the track map, Patrick?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
I can also see it.
Okay, Samir's got it. Ken?
I've got it.
I got it.
Frank, it may be connection. You might try jumping out and right back in real quick, see if that clears it up.
I did do that
You
earlier.
don't know how much,
Too.
again, I'm not going to take the chance of losing you again.
Okay. Frank, you've been to Mid Ohio before, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just a couple.
All right. So I'm going to try to explain this as clear as possible, and everybody else can just follow along with the track map. So as we're exiting the track here, we come up through our exit, and we are going to download kind of in a group. We're going to download, in a fairly tight area. So what we're going to have you guys do is keep driving up our road here. And just as you get towards the gas pumps, Frank, you're going to hook left. Frank, if you've ever done a dyno at a NASA Great Lakes event, where the dyno is sort of usually parks, the portable dyno.
Big park.
Yeah, you're gonna head down that little road there, and instead of going to the dyno, you're gonna hook left, right? And this whole area.
Or right if you're.
Yes, sorry, you're gonna.
The other left.
Sorry, Frank. I'm sorry. Yes, it is a right.
We're headed to the facilities building from the Trans Am staging area.
Yeah. So this big access road here, this road is not used all that often, and all the way as you bend around here, this whole area has got just a ton of room, right? And we can park on the side of the road, like half on the grass, half off type thing. And we can fit everybody in there, and we can do our download together. This is where Henderson and myself and Eric will find you, and we'll just be popping in. And if anybody is, ever seen Eric make his way through a crowd, he knows that he's going to jump in and out and whip up questions and stuff. But this is where you're going to see an awful lot of those white papers. So this is where we'll be able to park, and we'll be able to, pull out all of our evaluation sheets and ask them those questions. And really, we're just trying to train them to become that thinking driver, to get in the habit of, yeah, I just got off the track and I got a whole bunch of questions, right? How do I know I have all these questions? Because my instructor has trained me to be processing questions when I come off the track.
That's
what we're going to do it.
There's an administrative part of this, guys. Do you remember when John was saying, I'm going to make the circle really big. Remember when John was saying, hey, everybody, and you're doing the 1, 2, or 3, right? Part of that is going, John's got to rejuggle and figure out who to mate with who, right? Because over here is a guy that's too fast and 2 guys that are too fast, and over here the guys are too slow. That's one of the reasons we're all tied in here together. In addition to the fact that we have a big old cooler of water, and we're heavily engaged to get your feedback. So this community worked really, really well at Pit Race. We did it at Gingerman. Gingerman's pit lane is so long. We did it in pit lane. We're going to do it in, we got a lot of opportunity. NCM that's got a lot of real estate. Is this making sense? And ideally, I'm going to switch colors on you. Ideally, we would do it in here, but for every 1 student, we're almost doing a 1-to-1 at Mid Ohio. So with 15 students, we have like 12 extra, 27, right? And there's not room for 27 cars in here. So what we found is that's hard to find. If you have 2 students plus you're you're looking for a parking spot with 3 spaces, right? Times 15 groups. It's not easy. So that's why we started doing this format. We engineered a location because we were running out of places to do this. Is this making sense?
Yep.
I want to kind of go back in time, dial the clock back. So that's where you're going to go at the end of the session. At the beginning of the session, we know that we're going to grid, right? And we're going to get there super early. For our lead follow, there's a little, for the instructors, you guys have to give each other room. If you have, we'll nail this down, and this will be clear on Saturday morning during the instructor meeting. Let's say you've got 2 drivers. You need to paddock, or you need to, grid up there. And if you're an instructor coming up, you need to give space for that instructor to slot his 2 drivers in there. So we got to give them room to say, you know what, you got 2 students, so let me give you a little bit of breathing room. When we stagger ourselves out like that, then all the instructors can get their drivers in behind them. Saturday.
Here's the great news. We've put almost 50 people through this program on a Friday that have had that opportunity. They're going to help you, and they got your back in here. So it's not like you're coming in here alone. We've all done this before. Everybody's got everybody's back.
Yeah, this is a good place that, if the second instructor there is your mentor for the weekend, it would be really cool to, like slot in behind him, not directly behind him, but in the next instructor spot. That way you can kind of, lean on him a little bit and get your one driver out, get him out of the car, and you can join the other driver, and the 4 of you guys can all do your upload together. That also kind of primes the other drivers to be working together in teams of 2, because on Sunday they will be working in teams of 2. But if you find, if you can arrange that with your mentor, it makes that upload, your mentor is going to know that you haven't been through the Friday training. So your mentor may be very happy to just say, I'll take the lead on pitching a bunch of questions and setting these guys up. And you can kind of just shadow them, and, chime in when you feel it's suitable. But just make sure that you give that little bit of extra room there. On Sunday, you're going to have to give the 2 spaces. Saturday, you're probably only going to have to give 1 space. But we'll have that firmed up on Saturday morning. You'll know what we're looking at.
There's one more thing, and I think the last thing I can offer, because quite frankly, guys, you got to be in your rearview mirror and using this to really take. So at some point you're like, okay, John, okay, Eric, shut up. We get it. But it's right here. Here is your car, right? And here is the driver. The car's going this way. Here is the student driving. This is right seat style. And here is you, the instructor, in the previous model. The bonding that occurs on grid with the helmets on and the radio voice, right? When you got your microphone and you're saying, hey, what are you thinking about right now? Hey, there's 3-minute mark, right? You're doing all that conversation. Those special golden moments don't exist anymore. And they now occur here. There is the strength of the upload, so much so that we really push that hard, because all that anxiety and that T-2 minute deal, that guy's in the car by himself, and you're not there to say, hey, what are you thinking about? Or seeing that they have the death grip on the wheel, or they keep checking to see if it's in first gear. You don't get to see all that. But what you do is you make it up with in bonding and report time here early. And then when you come back off the track and you're parked here, because you don't get it in the car, you don't get it. And that's the biggest kind of soft skills that we notice. That's a different. Is this making sense?
Eric, don't erase that. I wanted to say something about that.
Sure. My great car drawing.
Yeah,
one?
yeah. Keep your great car drawing up. I think it's important folks need to really appreciate for most drivers, especially new drivers, your sheer presence in the car alleviates a lot of their anxiety. So you have to appreciate the fact that since you are no longer present in the car, it makes the time here that much more important. Like that becomes like super critical. This is why we're pushing the students really hard. Get to grid 10 full minutes early, 10 minutes early, because you've got to have time to, make up for lost time, right? For lost presence, really, is ultimately what you're doing. By setting the stage, by making it clear that and they are clear on the expectations. They know what you're going to ask of them. It's the same thing that we ask for them in the classroom, and so we're building up. We're layering elements of the classroom and the upload to sort of make amends for the fact that you're simply not there in the car forum. Somebody during, if you've watched that webinar, that the Ross Bentley one that Eric told you about, at some point he mentions the importance of communication. In lead follow, people often say, well, there's, in lead follow, there's not as much communication. It's really not true. In lead follow instruction, there's as much, in some cases, more communication. It just doesn't happen at the same time. It happens much more importantly in that upload, and it happens super importantly, as it always has, in the download. It's just a different style of communication.
Which is why we're so heavily based on those series of questions, is to engage the customer. Because we can all fall into the trap of going blah, 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 blah. But to make up for the fact that we're not there sitting next to them, right? You got to get them to volunteer. You got to get them to share. You need intel because you're limited, right? Your microscope is only that good looking in the rear view. You don't know if they're gripping the wheel or like overly stabbing the brakes, or some cases even riding the brakes. Hey, John, there's one thing I don't think we talked about this. I'm going to shut up after this. I promise. We're over our hour.
Yeah.
Did you talk about what we learned about when the student gets in front of a great student, a great follow student, and all of a sudden you let them by, and there's an engineered drill for that? Could you touch on that by chance?
So if you think of this as like, wow, I'm not in the car, and that means that I don't get that intel by watching them, right? What are the other techniques that we use to get intel? One of them is, look, they're great following me, but are they just great following me, or, are they actually picking up on the line? So reversing position is a great way for you to answer questions, for you to say, I'm not sure if my driver's looking at the right place. I'm not sure if, my driver's actually really knows the line here, or if my driver's just following me. Let me answer that question. Let's put the driver in front, give them a quick point where we'll switch position. And now you get a little more intel on whether or not your driver is as good as they seem to be when you're just watching them in the mirror. Now you can often, especially if you've got like, two drivers, or if they're struggling hanging back, you might pick up on where exactly are they struggling. It's hard to be in the mirror the entire lap. I mean, even the best of us, we're not going to see them the entire lap. But if you're following them, you can follow them the entire lap, and you might see, boy, they look great everywhere. I just never realized that coming up over Madness, they were struggling so hard. It never really caught me because I was trying to survive Madness myself. I mean, I was busy, so I didn't see what my driver was doing. So that kind of position is just a great way for you to answer those outstanding questions that you've got. Is my driver really doing this? It's you can pick up on the nose drop in the rearview mirror, like where are they braking? Plus you see them suddenly get smaller, but it's not easy. But it's easy to see brake lights come on, So, you switch position, say, just when is my driver just like getting easy into the brake and then he gets hard? I always saw that nose drop and I thought, what a stud. He just deep brakes, man. He goes so deep and then the nose drops. And it turns out, no, he's just braking slow. And then he goes, oh God, right? He does exactly what we don't want him to do. So switching that position is really a way for you to get a different set of observations on them, to just gather that intel. So when you come in and you do your download, you've got more resources to talk about.
This is something where you guys can help and contribute, please. This follow lead follow and follow lead actually was from Shane Denny. And he said, I hope you don't mind, Eric. I was sitting here in the download when it happened. I hope you don't mind, Eric, but I had him, he was doing so well. I had my follow student lead. And then he said, you tell him, I can't remember, you tell him, Larry. And Larry was like, I had no idea where I was. I didn't know where I was going. The student actually fell on the sword and realized that they were a really good follower and a taillight chaser, but didn't know. And now Shane's got a whole new set of intel to coach by. So it's pretty neat. And if you guys can offer anything like this, please offer it up after Saturday, after the weekend. We'll incorporate it. We're pretty good at incorporating stuff.
Yeah.
All right, I promise I'm done.
I'm gonna
Take us home, John.
all right, I am going to, well, I was going to stop sharing my screen here so we're all set up. We only have a couple days till the event, but again, we are going to hook you up with your mentors. Please hit either Eric up, myself up with any questions you've got after you read through all those drill descriptions. If something is just like, man, I don't know what you're talking about here, shoot us an email. We'll talk about it. If we got to get on a Zoom thing to kind of like look at a track map or something like that, we'll talk about all that stuff. We're always here. We're going to be there all weekend. And again, flagging us down, saying, what are we doing? Totally welcome.
Yeah, for those of you going to Mid-Ohio, you want to take exam 15 prior to. Mike said it takes about 20 minutes. Again, it's all open book.
Mike, I'm going to say is a stud because that has not been the average, man. The average has been a bit longer, quite a bit longer than 20 minutes. So don't feel bad if you're just like, it took me 45 minutes and I didn't pass the first time. Okay. You don't have to be the stud guy. We can't all be the stud guy. Some of us are mortal. Okay.
Pat, Jay, if you want to wait until closer to NCM, you're more than welcome. You can take it more than once, whatever you, we're here. It's,
I honestly took the test and was like, oh, that's how well I did. Like, I thought I was going to fail and I passed. I was like, oh, Eric won't kick me out of instructing this Friday.
Oh, not at all.
Can actually race this weekend. My God. But no, I, as a helpful tip, I think like anyone, I reviewed the questions and was like, oh, this is what I got wrong. Okay, let's nail this down. Because I can't, I'm not teaching 3 anymore. And it's so good to make sure that we have a good foundation for our HVD1 students. So just as like, oh, I barely passed this test. Like,
you did great.
It isn't super hard. I don't know who wrote the test. I feel like it was Eric and Jeff Henderson, but there's some funny sidebar comments in the questionnaires. Not to give anything away. No cheating here, but yeah, it's not hard, guys.
That's all I got. I'll send you guys a link right now to the exam. Quite frankly, take the exam, and it requires you to interact in those session documents and kind of peruse them and look, and it'll all come together.
Okay.
Any parting questions or other? Thanks for
John, for you. How's the trains situation been with lead follow in HVD1? How often are you seeing instructors giving point buys to groups of cars, or has this improved trains? What's the feedback you've seen?
We have we've gotten better at prepping the drivers. The trains have, Last year, I think we did a really, really, really good job of minimizing trains. I'm not going to lie, we've taken a step back. We've seen more train presence than we would like over the last couple of events. So we've gotten incredibly better at that. So we're back to a point where Sunday, you're looking at Sunday and there's no trains. Late Saturday, no trains. But the first two sessions have been a challenge for us. We actually changed things. Mike, I know you instructed with us before, but we used to do the first session full course yellow the entire Saturday. Saturday 1, first session, full course yellow, the whole session, total orientation. We found that we need to get them in passing situations sooner. So we're not doing that anymore. We're foregrounding. You guys got to get comfortable with each other on track. As we've done that, it's gotten better. Like they're more quickly picking up on that, and the trains have diminished a lot. So I'm not going to say we're back to last year, but we're much better.
Awesome.
Cool. Any other questions? Thanks, guys. Check
Yeah,
your
just
email.
one.
I'll send you a link.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Sean.